Will you be monkeying around with the new Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire, or is it just too bananas to be worth your time? A new See It or Skip It starts now.
See it or skip it. See it or skip it. See it or skip it.
Welcome everybody to a new See It or Skip It, where we're going to be talking about the new Godzilla vs. Kong, or in this case, Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire. This is from a series that started in 2014 with Godzilla and has really grown to almost be its own cinematic universe. We have so many monsters, we have so many battle sequences, and in this film, a new threat has emerged with power that can destroy both the hollow world below and above, forcing Kong to team up with his arch nemesis Godzilla to save themselves and the world. Now, right off the bat, we can't make comparisons between this film and what we saw with Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla Minus One literally just came out a few months ago. It won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects and really ended up being one of the best Godzilla films I've ever seen. It has so much depth of character, it had so many great moments, especially when it came to Godzilla and what he's able to do. But to compare Godzilla X Kong to Godzilla Minus One is almost like comparing a delicious ribeye steak to a McDonald's burger that you dropped on the ground. So that being said, let's base it off of what this is. And first and foremost, if you're looking for a fight with kaijus, fights with titans, big monster bash-ups and team-ups, this is right up your alley, and this is definitely going to be worth your time and your money to see in a theater. I really loved a lot of the fight sequences. They're happening a mile a minute, and they're happening throughout the film. I love the style of the fighting. They feel like brawls that were just at a bar, almost like Roadhouse in a way. I really liked this sequence that maybe went for about 15-20 minutes that had absolutely no dialogue, but you could tell immediately what was happening. You knew what each character wanted and what their motivations were, and it was really a crowning achievement for the entire movie. It might have been my favorite part. Not only that, but I really enjoyed the music. It's coming from Junkie XL. He's done many films like Mad Max Fury Road, Deadpool, the Justice League Snyder Cut version. He again is bringing those drums, and he's bringing a little bit of a synth 80s type style to this movie that works really well. As far as the actors that are involved in this, I think Dan Stevens is the standout because he knows exactly what movie this is. It's silly, it's fun, it's not meant to be taken seriously, and he is just having the time of his life, and you can see that whenever he's on screen. But the big glaring problems with Godzilla X Kong really stems from the story. Boy, this is a dumb movie. It's nonsensical. Most everybody's dialogue has to do with a big, long exposition to explain exactly what is happening between the monsters. It never makes sense how they're learning this information. Brian Tyree Henry, who played a podcaster in the previous Godzilla vs. Kong, is basically a full-on science bro, giving full details about gravity, about how science is working with gravity, and it just makes absolutely no sense for what that character actually is. But at the end of the day, nobody cares about these characters, but I do wish we could have a little bit. There is a little bit of story with Rebecca Hall and her daughter, who was from the previous film, who was able to communicate with Kong through sign language. She has a bit of a story arc, but again, there's not enough time to really flesh that out. And so by the end of it, I just emotionally, I wasn't there or really involved or interested in them. I think there's a happy medium to where you can get these big, awesome battle sequences in these fights and have characters that you can care and relate to. But the only character that I really cared about in this movie was Kong. Godzilla is pretty sidelined in this film. He's off doing stuff, but it's very much on the wayside. The story is all wrapped around Kong and what he's doing down in Hollow Earth. I wish there could have been more done with Godzilla and his character, maybe balance it out a little better. I think that balance was better in Godzilla vs. Kong, and in this, we might as well just call it Kong Skull Island 2. But overall, if you just want to go into this to see big monsters fight on a big screen with big sound, you're going to have a good time, and I would say see it. But if you're looking for any type of depth with these characters, you're going to miss all of this, and I would definitely skip it if that were the case and go watch anything else that's related to these monsters. There's going to be a little bit more depth of character, depth of story, so it's both a see it and a skip it, depending on what you're hoping to get out of the movie. Next up, we have two documentaries. The first is from Apple TV+. This is Steve. It's a two-part documentary series about Steve Martin. The first episode is covering his early days as a stand-up comic, what he was doing with Saturday Night Live, and a lot of stuff that maybe was plaguing him that a lot of us didn't know about. A lot of anxiety, a lot of comedic influences, and it was fun to see for those. It's all narrated by Steve Martin, and I think they do a really good job of showcasing what his past was like. The second episode does a lot more with what he's up to now, with his partnering with Martin Short, who they're just such a great dynamic duo. If you haven't watched Only Murders in the Building, you're doing yourself yourself a disservice and you've got to check that show out. As well as all of his time on the silver screen, whether it be Father of the Bride, Cheaper by the Dozen. He's been prolific both with stand-up and with movies. The Jerk is one of the funniest films I've ever seen, and it still holds up to this day. The Three Amigos, everybody knows The Three Amigos. But these are all aspects of Steve Martin that we know. And when it comes to a documentary about a subject, in particular a person, I look for the things that maybe they don't want to show. Maybe they don't want to feature or showcase or talk about. And when you're centering on a person that's still alive, they kind of have more creative control to hide some of those points. And I think there's a lot hidden with this documentary that I wish we could have seen more of. I don't think this is one that you should necessarily run out to see, but if you have time later and you're on a streaming service like Apple TV Plus and you want to check it out, maybe you should see it. Another documentary that's out in theaters right now is Remembering Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder, one of the greatest comedic actors of his time, and really stands the test of time with a lot of his work. If you've seen any of the Mel Gibson classics like The Producers, Young Frankenstein, he was prolific in his work, and he was so unique in everything he did. I loved this story basically as a love letter to him from all of the people that have worked with him, that have been with him through his life, and telling that story about what he was up to. There's lots of great interviews in this documentary. I loved hearing the behind-the-scenes stories of what it was like working with him, how unique he was and his delivery, and how he kind of hid what he wanted to do for his roles with the actors he was working with, but still wanted to not only improve the film itself, but improve everybody around him. He was just that type of actor. I loved hearing all the stories about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I still wish today that I could go to that factory that was built by an amazing set designer. And Young Frankenstein is still a comedy that is a required watch every Halloween time for me and my family. So it was really great to watch this film, to watch everybody just pour their heart out in love for Gene Wilder. I think this is definitely one that if you've loved any of his films and you want to know more about this person, it's a must watch. I would definitely see it. And last but not least, on Apple TV Plus, Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock Season 2 is out, and I had the chance, the joy, to be able to talk with not only the executive producers, but two of the stars of Fraggle Rock, Mokey and Red. Take a look.
Patrick! Silly creature,
Oh my
Patrick!
gosh.
Hello!
Hi, Mokey and Red. It's so nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, too! Yeah!
Man, I have so many questions and not enough time, but
We'll go fast! Go, 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 go!
Red, I want to ask you first. Any fun things that you've been up to down in Fraggle Rock?
Oh, so much!
So much.
Some fun.
Yeah, some fun. Some
challenging.
The windstorm, challenging.
Ooh,
Twisty
yes.
turny-thon, radish
Twisty
ball,
turny-thon, yes.
fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing until I realized I could leave the path that I was running on,
Yeah.
thanks to Wembley, and discover amazing new things, including that I didn't have to win to have fun. That was pretty amazing.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
really big for you, Red.
Mhm,
Yes,
yeah.
we learned a lot. We learned about solving problems by working together.
Oh, yeah.
We learned about sometimes going back to the past to find the solution to your problem today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much.
Mm-hmm.
So much, Patrick.
And we hung out with the Gorgs.
Yeah. Wild.
And Mokey, you have an amazing singing voice. I was wondering,
yes.
are there any tunes that have just been earworms just stuck in your head today?
Earworms. That sounds painful.
That's how we
That sounds really
get
painful.
some help with that.
Yeah, we can maybe see someone about that.
Yeah.
I've never had a worm stuck in my ear, thankfully.
Yeah.
But in terms of songs I like, oh, so many. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the song
The song
is a favorite, but I think we know which one we love the best.
The
Right?
song the silly creatures like with all the clapping. Ditch your cares away. Worries for another day.
You know it. You know it, Patrick.
Yeah.
And who is your favorite Fraggle and why? Do you guys have a favorite?
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
I think my favorite might be my best friend Mokey.
I was gonna say that too, but not about myself. About you. Red is my favorite.
You inspire me.
Oh, Red, you inspire me too. You're a Fraggle of action.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You run, you jump, you dive.
Everything.
All the things.
Yes.
You
but
never
Mokey,
give up.
But Mokey is a Fraggle of artistic creativity and insight and focus. She can find the tiniest things to appreciate and find so much beauty in the world, and I love that about you.
Oh, Thank you, Red. See, we're very different, but we're best friends.
And the last question for both of you, what can us silly creatures learn from you down in Fraggle Rock?
Ooh.
Well, I think a lot of the things that we've learned recently, the importance of listening to each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
And being open to new experiences.
Oh, yes, asking for help when you need it.
Oh, yes.
Very important, hard
Yep.
to do.
And sometimes when things get tough, you just gotta have an ugly cry and let it all out.
Oh, yeah.
And then look to your friends to help get you through it.
Yeah. Lots of big things like that. Big learning recently.
Yes. Yes.
Is there any way I can come and live with you guys? That'd
Yes.
be pretty awesome.
Ooh,
Yes.
come on
Oh my
down.
gosh, yes.
Might be a tight
Amazing.
fit for you.
Yeah. We'll have
You
to
know,
make
we're a
some
lot
room,
smaller,
but,
I think.
I think we can make it work.
Yeah.
I'll be right there. Thank you guys so much, Mokey and Red. You're the best.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick. Woohoo!
Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock Season 2 is out now on Apple TV+. Make sure that you go and see it. It's going to be a great watch for kids and adults alike. Jim Henson, he's just a magical creator, was able to create such cool characters, and it's absolutely a see it. So that's all for this segment. Make sure that you check out See It or Skip It on abc4.com, click the Shows tab, and head over to See It or Skip It to see more movies, news, and interviews. I'm Patrick Beatty. Thank you again, as always, for watching, and I will see you at the next review.
See it or skip it. See it or skip it. See it or skip it.